Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started here in a second. Okay, welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here for Job Search Live. This is Hannah Morgan. I'm the Career Sherpa, and today is April 19th. I can't believe it's already the 19th of April. Time is flying by. And I say that with a smile on my face because I'm really looking forward to some warm weather, to summer in our northern climate. And I got my second vaccine shot last week on Wednesday, so I am really excited about that. And so hopefully that means that I can start doing some more things that I was hesitant to do. Just because I wanted to be safe and I wanted to be careful. So thank you all for being here. I have put in, and tell me if you're here watching. I would love to know. Put your name over in a comment and just say, hey, it's whomever from wherever. I'd love to know that you're here so I can give you a shout out. This week's Summary Sunday was called Get Up to Speed on Job Search, and I have put a link to that in the comment, which I hope you can see, so you can follow along. So it's over there now. Get up to speed on job search. And this is what you're going to find. And this is what I'm going to sort of overview with you today because I want to tell you why these things are important. LinkedIn has made a couple of new updates. Actually, they've made a lot of new updates over the last few months. And I wanted to highlight two of them here today. And then we're going to talk about some articles that were written to help older job seekers because we know notoriously during times of a recession like this or hiring difficulties, older people typically have some problems and challenges. So want to address some of those issues with you. There's an article on how to build a target company list, which I think is important. I don't write and talk about resumes ever because there are so many great people who are doing it, and I'm actually a resume hater. I find job seekers put too much emphasis on the resume, but there is a guide that I have linked to this week because I think anyone who is struggling to write a resume should understand how to write a good one, and this is a guide for you to do that with. Then there are two articles that are about trends in the labor market and job search that I'm going to share with you. So that's what we're going to cover today. As you know, this moves fast. I don't go too deep. I hope to give you enough information so that you will want to read the article and become knowledgeable yourself. So I want to shout out to Angela. Hey, thanks for being here. And Sharon, thanks for being here. Good to see you. I'm so glad you all are here. So as I started off by saying, we know LinkedIn has made lots of changes, and there were two articles about that. One was called A Better Way to Address Career Gaps, and that was about the fact that LinkedIn has now added a couple of new categories for job titles that people can put. Because what we know is that once you've left a job, you put your end date in there, whether you were fired, laid off, let go, quit, whatever. You put that end date to indicate that you're no longer there. But when you do that, that leaves sort of this problem. What do I put in my current job so that I have all-star power to my LinkedIn profile? So in the past, we were advising job seekers to make up a job title that fits with where you want to go next. And then you have to monkey around with the wording that you put in there. Well, LinkedIn has made it a little bit easier. For the job title, you can pick stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home parent. So the wonderful thing about that is that you will not need to add a company name. That's the beauty. So that becomes sort of the placeholder of what you're doing at this period in time. And then you don't need to monkey around with a company name. Now, LinkedIn does say in this article that they're going to be adding additional job titles to explain gaps like parental leave, family care, or sabbatical. Again, so companies don't have to put that company name in there. So this is all great news. It makes it easier for you to be truthful on your LinkedIn profile, to really explain and be transparent about what's going on. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you want, as long as it's not being used against you, right? And again, we can't control what people think or do, but what we can do is make sure that we're being as clear as possible in our communication about what's going on. So LinkedIn does also say in this article that that stigma of being unemployed is starting to fade. It said while 72% of job seekers believe there's a stigma associated with a career gap, 79% of hiring managers today would hire a candidate with a career gap on their resume. 79% of hiring managers would hire somebody with a career gap. I'm grateful to hear that. I think a lot of it was because we saw what happened during the pandemic. There was nothing for people to do. So that's great. Now, if you are looking at this LinkedIn article, I don't want to be your only source of great information. LinkedIn has their own blog. It's called the LinkedIn official blog. And if you scroll or look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see this blue button that says email subscription. You can subscribe so that when LinkedIn makes announcements like this, you don't miss out. The other thing that LinkedIn is announcing, and if you've been working in LinkedIn for any period of time, you may have seen this, is that the article is called Discover and Explore More with Our New Intuitive Streamlined Search Experience. When you go to the top of your LinkedIn screen on your desktop or on your mobile device, you know how they have that search bar. Well, now when you search, you can search for people, jobs, posts, companies, schools, groups, and events. All of those things. You just select the button that best matches what you're searching for. So courses, there's just so much you can search by, so that it should make your LinkedIn experience just that much better. I remember this week or last week, I was trying to find this article that I knew I had shared. And so it's hard to go through everything that you share on LinkedIn, and I didn't think to do that right away. So what I went up to the search bar and typed in what I thought the article was about. I think it was long-term unemployed. And then I was searching for articles shared by First Level Connections, because I knew somebody in my network had also shared it. So I was able to find it that way. So we are able to do some better searching on LinkedIn, and thank you to them for making those changes. So if you haven't played around with those two things yet, you aren't familiar with exactly how they work, go check out those two articles. And get up to speed on the search and the new job title thing. The other thing that I want you to do is go sign up and get your email subscription so that you can get news when it comes out directly from LinkedIn. That's their official LinkedIn blog. And if you haven't been following what they've been saying, you can go back and look through their other blog posts there as well. And there's a lot of great information. So good for LinkedIn for doing that. The next article that was in this week's Summary Sunday was written by my friend Bob McIntosh. Thanks, Bob. And Things Career Related is the name of his blog. And he invited me and Mark Miller and Susan Joyce to write about career strategies for over 50 job seekers. So all three of us, actually Bob chimed in too, all of us provide some of the things that we think is really important for those over 50 who are now considered older job seekers to understand and to know about the job search, and tips on things that they can do so that they aren't being seen or viewed or perceived as old, which we know is a problem. So it's expensive, it's all that stuff. So I hope you take a minute or two to read that. There's a lot of good advice in that, and I had fun contributing. The other article, which is addressing those that are over 50, comes from jobhunt.org. It's written by Laura Smith Proul, and she's an amazing executive resume writer. If you haven't checked out her work on her own website, is phenomenal. I turn to her a lot because she's a master writer, worder, right? So her article was LinkedIn tips for job seekers over 50. Again, just like in your job search, there are things that you have to be aware of as an older job seeker so you don't come across the wrong way. She draws attention to what you can do on LinkedIn to make sure that you come across as somebody who is valuable, in demand, and helps you come across the right way. So those are all great. Angela, I saw it when I was at the on the LinkedIn page. I saw it at the bottom of my screen um, for the blog post when you click on that. So let me just quickly show that to you. I think I can do that. Oops, hold on. And I think I can quickly show you. We'll see how that works. Share. So I'm hoping that you can all now see this article, Discover and Explore LinkedIn, um, their new initiative. So I'm seeing it right down here, but if you scroll to the very, very, very bottom of the blog post, you will see that there's this email subscription button, or it might say, because I'm subscribed, it may just say to you, subscribe. At the very bottom, and I'm hoping you're seeing that. Does that work? Okay, I'm going to assume because I can't do multiple things at once. Um, so good. Okay. I hope you found it, Angela, because I just showed it to you. The next article was written by Shelley Piedmont, 17 great resources to develop a targeted employer list. One of the things that I have been talking about for years, this is nothing new, is that those job seekers who are more successful and more focused actually have a strategy. And their strategy is to identify a certain number, I recommend between 40 and 50, companies that could potentially hire you. These are not companies that have current job openings. They're just companies that meet some set of criteria. They are, you know, companies that you've always wanted to work for. They may be companies that fall into a certain industry. They may be companies that you've heard great things about that are good places to work. It may be some combination of all three of those things, but you picked this list of 40 or 50 companies. And so people always say to me, well, where do you come up with these lists of 40 or 50 companies? Shelley has 17 great resources to help you find those companies. I've written my own article, which is out there too, but I love calling out new voices, saying and contributing new ideas. And so Shelley's got 17 ideas on where you can go to develop your target list. If you don't have a target list, or you're working with job seekers who have no idea what they want to do, send them to Shelley's site, and that's going to walk them through the logic and the process to help them. Okay, so here is the next article, which is the definitive guide to writing your executive resume in 2021, Chameleon Resumes, which is written by my colleague Lisa Rangel. And again, I don't like talking and writing about resumes. I leave that up to the experts, and I let you focus on the stuff that's more important, like networking and target lists and stuff like that. But Lisa Rangel's newest definitive guide is great. No download required. It's all free on her website. And so I hope that if you are personally struggling, or you know people who are struggling with writing their resume, go check out this resource. It's phenomenal. It's got sort of all the do's and don'ts that you will need. One of the next, does that make sense to people? Check back. Okay. The next article I shared was a survey done by the Manpower Group, and it was a global survey, but they have the United States Employment Outlook. And what they were doing based on the survey results that they got from employers was to project where we'll be in the second quarter of 2021. Based on the survey results. And 23% of employers predicted that in quarter two that they're going to be increasing hiring. 4% predicted a decrease. 70% projected no change at all. So then you say, well, how does that rate compare against quarter two of 2020, right before we got into this pandemic? It's almost exactly the same. 23% a year ago, pre-pandemic. 23% were thinking about increasing, 3% were thinking about decreasing, and 73% projected no change. So we've made amazing strides. To sort of recoup or to not decrease the percentage of the workforce. There's more data behind those numbers. So if you're interested, I linked to the study in my article, and you can go check it out and see what they're projecting themselves. And last but not least, my favorite, I almost always write my own blog post about what I love about the JobBite Job Seeker Nation survey. I have not written that yet, but I wanted you all to have the information because I always find that it's so insightful. JobBite is a talent management system. It's like an applicant tracking system, plus it does a lot of different stuff. And so they survey thousands of their company users. And they ask them for all kinds of different questions about how did you find your employee, what trends are you seeing going on in the workplace. So this is called the Job Seeker Nation Report, the Rise of the Optimized Workforce. Of course, it's going to be talking about remote work, flexible work schedules, all of this stuff. It's just based on US data. And it's for 2021. It just came out at the end of February, beginning of March, I believe. And I linked to it here. So normally, if you were to go to the JobBite website, they would ask you to add your email address and download it. But I just thought, why have that obstacle for job seekers? I'm just giving it to you right here so that you can download it from my site. So those were the articles that I talked about, and why it's important is to get a little bit of everything every week is that things change. Our economy is opening up. More and more people are vaccinated. Companies are starting to call people back to the office. And so we need to be ready and we need to know what's going on so that we can negotiate and we can advocate for our own needs and wants and desires in the workplace. And that's what I hope that you'll get by reading Summary Sunday. So I write this every Sunday. So if you liked what you read today or yesterday, go back and check out some of the older articles. I wouldn't go back older than a year because things have changed a lot. But every week I pick about 5 or 6, sometimes more articles that are popular, fresh, help you understand what's going on now. And I put them right in here to give you easy access. So the other thing that you could do if you're on Twitter, you could follow me. I share about 5 or 6, maybe more articles a day that come from different people across the Twitter sphere because they're always sharing great information. So that's another way to get this information. If you are already on Twitter, please follow me. That would be great. You can see what I'm sharing. The other thing that I link in here is my newest post on how to write a letter of interest. And a letter of interest is something that you would send to a hiring manager, the person who makes the hiring decisions. In other words, your potential future boss. It's something you would send to your potential future boss about why you are interested in working for them and why you think they need to hire you or at least have a conversation with you. It's a pretty bold idea, but why I like it is because it gives more power to the job seeker. Rather than just posting your resume on the employer's applicant tracking system and waiting and hoping, when you write a letter of interest, you actually have the opportunity to showcase yourself, to talk about why you're interested in working for them. And you're actually sending it to a real human being, not some black hole like an applicant tracking system. They're not easy, but for those that are willing to take a little risk and do a little bit of research, they're a great way to set yourself apart. So that's the letter of interest that's linked at the bottom of my Summary Sunday. Were there any questions that you all had this week about anything that you read or anything that's going on with you? Because I've got a couple minutes here before I close out for the week and just wanted to open it up to you all. Good seeing you, Wanda and Michael. Good seeing you both. Glad you're here. Okay. Well, again want to thank you all for being here. If you've got a comment and it's just coming to you and I'm closing off, go ahead and type in the chat and I'll get to it eventually. I'll get to it later. But I want to thank you all for being here. Thanks for reading my summary Sunday, and go out there and get them. Make the most of this week. Here's my thing, my final quote for you, my idea. I, like you, I think, sometimes get in a rut and I don't feel like doing anything. And so I sit on the couch and watch Netflix or the Derek Chauvin trial or whatever. And I just sit there like a lump on a log. There are but today, this morning, I didn't watch the news. I actually had a phone call with a bunch of people, and it got me all jazzed. And so there's this theory, right? Of maybe even Einstein's, an object in motion stays in motion. Here's what I'm suggesting and how that relates to job search. Take one small step today, just one small one, to immerse yourself in something in your job search. Maybe it is reaching out, sending an invitation to connect with somebody, or maybe it's sending a follow-up email, or maybe it's having a conversation with somebody. I'm an introvert. I don't love talking with people, but sometimes I find it energizing. So depending on the topic. So go have that one action item and see how you feel at the end of that. Maybe just doing that one thing related to job search will get you jazzed and you'll want to do more. And then you can continue to feel a little bit more motivated throughout the day. So good luck, right? So Wanda asked, should I search out the hiring manager on LinkedIn to send the letter of interest? Yes. So you know the company that you want to work for. Go find the person who is likely the head of the department where you want to work. Or you could ask around and talk to people who work inside the company and ask them. But yes, definitely send it, and you're going to send it through email. You're not going to send it through LinkedIn, because people don't live on LinkedIn like we do who are job seekers. People live in email. So you can look up your email, and if you read that letter of interest article, I provide you with a couple of different tools that are free that will help you find the email address of almost anybody. So yes, the secret is to email this and send it directly to them. Yes. Well, so the best part, and I, no, you know what, Angela, so there weren't, I think you're right. Q2 2020 was bad, but I think when they surveyed the people about what, right at the beginning before the pandemic hit, when they surveyed the people in 2020 in Q2, how do you think your Q2 is going to be, not knowing that there was a pandemic coming up? Do you remember how strong the labor market was in Q2? And maybe it really would have been closer to Q1, like the end of Q1. But at that point, the job market and business was booming, and people were hustling and bustling, and companies couldn't get jobs quickly enough. So that's when people were surveyed, companies were surveyed and said, what do you predict is going to happen in the next Q2, right? So that was their prediction, not knowing that the pandemic was going to come into play. So it would be their perspective before the pandemic hit about where things were happening was positive. So that's where I was talking about. So thank you, Angela, for asking that. I appreciate that. It was positive. Go read the full article and it'll explain some of the stuff that I sort of rushed through. But I hope you all have a great day and a great week, right? Be that object in motion that stays in motion. All right. Have a good one.